Welcome back, guys, to the 29th day. The 29th day, the last species of the dead. First point, we must fulfill them faithfully. Second point, we must fulfill them speedily. First point, if there is anything of obligation in this world, it is the last species of the dying, which should be considered as sacred. The Council of Trent recommends bishops to watch carefully over legacies left by the dead for pious objects and to see that their wishes are carried out. Other councils go so far as to excommunicate those who appropriate to themselves the gifts of the dying or who delay carrying out their last wishes. The severity of these laws shows clearly how guilty those are who deprive the dead of the suffrages they had wished to secure to themselves after their deaths. Woe to those who grow rich on the substance of the poor souls in purgatory. They deprive them of the relief they would have received, and in a manner constitute themselves their executioners, and before God become responsible for their sufferings. But if the world absolves them for their sacrilegious theft, if it does not stigmatize them with its contempt, God will not absolve them so easily. And they had better understand that the day will come when He will demand a strict account of these unjust acts, with which they never think of reproaching themselves. They will probably be punished, even in this world, by temporal chastisement, and who can tell us the length and severity of the sufferings that they will have to endure in the next? Christian soul, reflect seriously. Did not your relatives, your friends, your benefactors, when dying, make you some pious recommendation? Did they not ask you either by word of mouth or in their wills for prayers, for masses, or for alms? Did they not at least beg you with tears to think of them before God? Have you justified the confidence they placed in you? Have you fulfilled entirely and conscientiously all the obligations they imposed upon you? If you have not done so, hasten to discharge the sacred debt of justice. Second point, not only must we execute faithfully the last species of the dead, but we must do so as soon as possible. In order not to deprive these dear souls of the relief that will be afforded them either by masses celebrated for them or by the suffrages of the poor, as we should always ask them to pray for their benefactors when we distribute the alms appointed for them. Every day of delay is a fault for which we are responsible, and which adds to the sufferings of the dead. Did we but understand what these terrible tortures of purgatory are? Far from putting off the accomplishment of what tends to soften them, we should hasten to bring speedy and efficacious help to these blessed souls who are so worthy of our compassion, and many of whom are so dear to each of us. Alas, how many dishonest heirs have weighty reproaches to make themselves on account of their negligence in fulfilling the sacred engagements they had contracted towards their deceased brethren. Christian soul, be very careful and give only to persons worthy of confidence the office of carrying out your last wishes. Place in very safe hands the money destined for good works or masses for the deliverance of your soul after death. This is the only way of being certain that your last wishes will be carried out, unless it so happens that you have the happiness to belong to one of those Catholic and Christian families who cherish the respect due to the remembrance of the dead. Example. The following incident is an illustration of the punishments which befall those who do not execute the last wishes of the dying. It is related in the Chronicles of Charlemagne that a captain, renowned for his courage, sent when on his deathbed for a relative whom he had often benefited, and turning to him said, "I have passed 60 years in the service of my king, without receiving more than my ordinary pay, and now that I am dying, I find myself possessed of nothing beyond my faithful horse, which has been so useful to me. When I shall be no more, you must sell my horse and give the price of it to the poor, for the relief of my soul." The relative promised to do as he wished, but after the death of the captain, instead of selling the horse, he kept it for himself and never gave any alms to the poor. Hardly had a year elapsed when the soul of the deceased appeared to his relative and addressing him said, "Unhappy wretch, you have not executed my last wishes. You have not kept your promise, and you have been the cause of all the sufferings I have endured, from which my alms would have saved me. Know that the speedy death will be your punishment, and moreover, that a special chastisement is reserved for you. You will not only have to pay the penalties due for your own sins, but you will have to suffer all that I should otherwise have had to suffer to fully satisfy divine justice. The guilty man, awestruck by this threat and wishing to regulate his conscience, hastened to execute the last wishes of the deceased captain and do all in his power to escape eternal death. But he could not avoid the death of the body which had been foretold, and which event took place a few days after. How hateful to God is injustice and ingratitude to the dead, which he punishes both in this world and the next. Prayer. Grant, O God, that neither cupidity nor culpable negligence may ever prevent my fulfilling the duties I owe the dead. Their rights are sacred, and their last wishes shall be equally so to me. I will carefully fulfill all the obligations they required of me. And too happy shall I be if, by my promptness and my prayers, I hasten the hour of their deliverance. O Jesus, O Mary, Queen of Purgatory, be merciful to them, and may they rest in heavenly peace. Requiescat in pace. And today, this is the end of day 29. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye and God bless.